Hey, it's James from Marketing for Restaurants here. Welcome to episode 134 of Secret Sauce, the restaurant marketing podcast. The coronavirus emergency marketing plan for your restaurant.
Some restaurants are quiet, lose money, and the owner works 70 hours a week. Other restaurants are busy, profitable, and the owners work a few hours a day. What's the difference? They have a secret sauce. Join James from Marketing for Restaurants as he helps you come up with your recipe for restaurant success. Your secret sauce.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Sadly, our podcast last week, the survival guide for coronavirus, has been one of our most successful podcasts in the first week of the podcast being released. A lot of people have been downloading it, been getting a lot of traction, which I think is really sad because it just shows just how much of a drama we are seeing in the industry. It's interesting because the biggest feedback that we got was our tip on asking for a rent holiday. Lots of restaurants hitting up their landlords. Landlords are really quite concerned as well. And I think that the real estate industry, the property market, is going to take a significant hit over the next 6 months as businesses fold. And I've got to tell you, normally when a restaurant folds, there's always some fool who's prepared to move in and have a crack and plus or minus a business plan and a marketing plan. But there's always someone who's going to try and take it on. Now, much less. We're talking to people who are planning on opening and they're pushing that back. I don't think that there's anyone who's going to be opening a restaurant in the next 3 months. A lot of people are just going to be waiting and seeing what exactly happens. And many landlords are going to understand that, and they would rather have a tenant who's going to be able to stay in their property. So maybe it's 1 month rent-free to maybe 3 months. It depends where you are and what the scenario, what the situation is of the individual landlord and in that area. And I think that this is the first point that you need to be thinking about is this is a global phenomenon, but it's not attacking everyone at the same time. It's sort of moving in waves through geographic locations. So the first thing you want to be doing is to try and get the facts on what's actually happening. So I've been using the WHO situation reports. I'll include a link in that in the show notes. In the United States, the CDC is releasing some fairly good information as well. Important to keep up with what the government in your country is looking at doing. For two reasons. One, they're going to be putting limitations on the kind of things that can be done. So in Australia, there's a limitation now on any gathering of more than 500 people. This is huge in the tourism and event space. So the football's been cancelled, the Formula One's been cancelled, lots of things are being cancelled. That makes it hard for restaurants who were relying on those people to be coming in for it. Now, the other thing to think about, though, is what support is there out there for small businesses, because you might be able to tap into some of that. In Australia, we know that there's some benefits to try and keep people employed, decrease the number of people who are going to be losing their jobs. And this is a critical thing, because if people lose their jobs and they're not going to be able to afford their mortgage, that means they're going to have to put their house up for sale. Too many of those, house prices goes down, and that really, really does impact the economy. So the government wants us to keep employing people, and to do that, they understand, particularly in the restaurant industry, people don't have large wads of cash stacked down the back of the sofa. So there are programs out there to try and help, and particularly in Australia, we know that there's some tourism ones as well. So have a look at what is out there available in your country, in your state, even from your local council potentially, to be able to continue on. That's the first thing that you want to be thinking about. As we start to think about the marketing that you're going to do, there's a couple of things. Firstly, decrease in tourism. So it's Saturday here. I flew in early this morning to Melbourne from New Caledonia. So, and I'm going to talk about a few of the things, a few of my experiences there, because I don't think that many of the restaurants in New Caledonia are doing a really good job of marketing what it is that they do. But you've got decreasing tourism in a lot of places. Now, as it rolls through the world, you'll see this in different waves. So evidently, if you believe the news that's coming out of China, things are getting back to normal there, and they have very few new cases that are coming out each day. So for China, they're probably over the worst of it. In the United States, probably going to get a lot worse. In Australia, probably going to get a bit worse, but only time will tell. And this is literally, it's one of those things where every 24 hours there's a significant number of events that are occurring. So it is very much a moving feast, but we're seeing definitely a decrease in tourism. You're also seeing a decrease in regular customers, and this is being borne out by a lot of things. One, in some countries, people are self-isolating. Two, in some countries, people are not going out anymore because they've been told to by their government. Do not go out. Do not gather in places. Many companies, and so notably Telstra on Friday said that from Monday, they've got 20,000 corporate workers who are going to be working from home. Now, those people who are working from home, what is it that they are going to be doing? And you need to be thinking about this in the context of your restaurant. If you were the restaurant at the bottom of one of those large buildings that has 5,000 workers in it, then you're probably not going to be going too well. If you're in the suburbs where there's a few people who are going to be working from home but aren't quarantined, what is the opportunity there? Is it going to be around delivery? Is it going to be around getting them to come out for a quiet little meal for a lunch? There's no one answer to this because there's going to be specific opportunities in your country, in your state, in your town, hour by hour. And what you need to be doing is thinking about those opportunities because you're going to need to seize as many of those opportunities because I've got to tell you, this is going to be hard work. It is going to be hard work to get people to come out and spend a little bit of money. The other thing that we are seeing is a huge number of corporate events that are being cancelled. So why was I in New Caledonia? Well, I was meant to go to a conference and the conference organizer cancelled it because of the risk of coronavirus. And back when they did that, I sent an email out saying, I think that this is pretty weak. We need to show some leadership. We need to show some courage. So I went to New Caledonia. You're supporting all of the businesses involved in getting me there. So airlines are doing it super tough. The airports and all of the tourist people in New Caledonia. Restaurants, all of the tours. So I thought that I would go and I basically worked for 2 days and I spent some time at the beach, in the pool, and of course going to some amazing restaurants in New Caledonia. But the conference event industry, that is dying and corporate events is going to die. It's going to be very unlikely that any business is going to get 20 of their best customers and put them in a room where they can infect all of them. Now, whether or not that is likely to happen, everyone has got this massive risk aversion, which means that they're highly, highly, highly unlikely to do that. So we need to be looking at the areas where we can get people to come in. And what I'm going to focus on today is some quick and dirty marketing. So the ideas that are going to be either no cost or low cost for you to be able to get a few more bums in seats. Because what we really want to do is to be able to enable you to ride out the next 4, probably unlikely to be 4, probably longer than that, 8, hopefully 8 weeks, hopefully not 12, but hopefully around 8 weeks that it takes for the coronavirus to run its course in your country, in your local area, and so that people have then got that little bit of confidence. People are going to be thinking, well, I've been able to keep my job, I've been able to keep my house, now's the time to go out and enjoy ourselves just that little bit. So this is our quick and dirty marketing plan and tactics for you to enable you to survive the coronavirus. So firstly, there are some simple things that you can do just to increase your basic conversion rates. If you've got foot traffic going by, have you got a menu out the front? Have you got it in multiple languages if you're in an area where there are multiple languages? So let's go and have a look at what I found in Noumea. Now, a couple of things that made it interesting there. So I have my cell phone with Telstra, and normally I go to places where there's cellular roaming. So for $10 a day, I get like half a gig, which isn't much, but it's enough for checking emails and using Google Maps, things like that. Now, it took me a little bit of time to realize that it wasn't actually supported there. So I did buy a lot of data I bought a small amount of data at a very expensive price. But after that, so I wasn't using my phone unless I could get free Wi-Fi, which was predominantly at the hotel. So I was spending a lot of time wandering around, kind of looking for stuff off a map that had been cached. So I was doing my research about the restaurants that I was going to go to while I was in the hotel, before I was actually out and about. And a couple of things that were really interesting. in Noumea, there's a lot of places that have websites that don't have the menu there. So I didn't really know how much it was going to cost. Food is very expensive in Noumea. Very, very expensive. I was quite shocked, actually. It's hard to get meals that were good value, I thought. And so there was one night I walked by, I had a restaurant in mind. I went there and I looked at the prices and I thought, wow, it's just too expensive. Like, I can't justify that. So I just kept on walking and walking and walking. My second choice was about 4 kilometres away from there. Oh, actually, probably about 3 kilometres. But it was a big old walk and it was nice and hot. Now, they had a weirdo booking system. Restaurant Marmite. Now, I could have got the concierge to book me a table. In retrospect, that probably would have been the smart thing to do it because my French is not great. As always, it is good fun to try and speak a new language, so I did have a bit of fun with that. So I wanted to go to Restaurant Marmite, but the weird booking system, I didn't make a booking and they were fully booked out. Now, for them, hooray, Noumea hasn't seen much effect from the decrease in tourism, I don't think, although the hotel that I was at, that was where the conference was meant to be held. So not a huge amount, and for them, they were fully booked out. I went to a lot of places where the menu was only in French. Now, I don't speak French. The highlight of my experience as far as being a francophonic, a person who speaks French, I probably got that wrong, was l'addition s'il vous plaît, which is, can I please have the bill? That was it. So it was very difficult when I was looking at things. Sometimes I could decode it, but it was quite difficult and made me hesitant to go in and order something because I wasn't sure what it was that I was getting. No photos. Photos work well. You see that in a lot of Asian restaurants throughout Asia. They'll have photos there because they know they're getting a lot of people who don't speak the native language in that country. Also, the number of places that didn't have menus out the front. A lot of places have this cute thing where it's on like a blackboard, and they bring the blackboard to you, and obviously that's the specials of the day. Well, it gives the impression of that. They're not out the front though, so you can't actually walk by, have a look at it and say, should I go in here? Yes or no, maybe not. I was trying quite hard to get some authentic French-style cuisine, and probably the best place that I was able to go to was L'Atelier Gourmand, which translated is the gourmet workshop. That place had a queue. It was a little bit funky the way that you had to order stuff, but there was a queue which to me made it de-risk that transaction. I knew how much it was going to cost. I'd read some reviews. I didn't use TripAdvisor because I know how dodgy TripAdvisor can be, and I always make a point of avoiding those just because of the fact that they get fudged up so many times. But I had read reviews that it said that it was one of those places where you could go and get a very affordable French meal. So I had a croque monsieur and a eclair vanille and a Coke. And that was super yummy. I was quite happy with that. Now, compare and contrast with Au Petit Café. So I thought, this was going to fit in well. I'm just going to go in there and have a look. I'd read lots of reviews that had said it was really good. Once again, though, no menu, no idea about what it was. And Au Petit Café, which I think is like a small cafe, I thought that there would be, some pastries, some fairly light food, which would fit it in with what I wanted. I went in there, I sat down. So remembering that the food here is meant to be really good, but I don't know what it is because there's no menu. They brought over the board with all of the specials on it, and they were like 3,250 francs, which is about $48. Now, that was a lot more than I wanted to spend. So I actually did the walkout, and I've got to tell you, I felt really uncomfortable doing that. The lady had come over, they greeted me warmly, and, they'd given me some water. But I looked at the price and I just thought, and I didn't want a big meal. I certainly didn't want to spend $50 on lunch. And I was actually jogging back to the hotel because I was flying out that day. So I couldn't eat a huge meal because I still had 3 kilometers to run. I just wanted, maybe some light French bakery type food. Certainly not that, and certainly not at that price point. So I did the walkout. How many people though going by that place, and it was about 11 o'clock, 11:30 I think actually, and there was only probably 3 or 4 tables in there. Meant to be very busy, meant to be very successful, but for me, a menu out the front, a menu on their website, that would have made things a lot easier. So the first thing to do, de-risk the transaction by putting a menu out the front. Restaurant Marmite, they had done that. I just couldn't make a booking and they were super busy. Now, it's interesting because I went to one place that didn't have the menu on it. The risk wasn't that great because I had Restaurant Marmite as a backup plan. Restaurant Marmite does put their prices on their website. And as I stood outside of Le Roof, which is a beautiful looking restaurant, I took photos of it because it does look amazing. But I looked at it and thought, for the price of one main here, I could have a lot more at Restaurant Marmite. And that was why I went there. They put the price there, they de-risked that transaction, and it's obviously worked for them because they were full. A lot of other restaurants weren't full. So make sure you got a menu out the front. Make sure that it's up on your website and people can have an idea about how much they're going to be spending. The other thing is take a photo of the restaurant when it's full, moderately full, ideally completely full, with people having a good time. That gives you an idea of what the restaurant's like. I go to a lot of restaurants and you know what? I've eaten in some really ordinary ones and sometimes it's been discretionary. Sometimes I'll eat in a customer restaurant. Sometimes I'll go somewhere where I would like to have them as a customer. But sometimes I'm just out eating and, trying to learn as much as I can about restaurant marketing. And when I do that, I'll do a search, I'll do some research, I'll try and find out about the place and I'm still not completely sure. And then you go there and you think, this is not great. And that's because if you've got a nice interior, if the place looks good, if you've got great views, de-risk the transaction. Make it easier for me to come in by putting that on your website, on your Facebook, wherever it is. Big thing, I do a lot of search. I like websites because you're able to get a lot more information about the restaurant. On Facebook, you're searching, scrolling, and it's hard to find out what's their menu, when are they open, all of those sort of things. Website makes it easy and it's quicker, particularly if you're searching on a mobile phone. And I've got to tell you, so many people are searching on a mobile phone. So have a photo of what it's like in there. And then, of course, start to put some photos up of what the meals look like. That way you can go, yes, that would be nice. The first place that I ate at, it's called Leeds N, near the hotel where I was staying. So that was one of my search criteria. Quite good Facebook reviews, and I think it's really important to look at your Facebook and Google reviews. They're the ones that I use, and when you're looking for best restaurant near me, Google uses that to work out which it's going to put up there. I went there, I had the tuna dish, which was really nice, and I literally picked it because there was a whole heap of words in the description of it, and I understood very few of them. I can't remember the word for tuna, but I said, what is that? And it came out with a whole heap of vegetables. It was really quite nice. The vegetables were prepared really quite well. Now, the interesting thing was I ate there a second night, which I really try hard not to do. And it was because of a series of unfortunate incidences in couldn't get into Restaurant Marmite and a few other things. Couldn't find some places. Remember, I had my mobile phone. I was using a cached map. Couldn't actually get information on the crappery that I was trying to find. But I went back there because I'd walked probably 4 kilometres to Restaurant Marmite. As I was walking back, still looking for places, trying to find an authentic French type of place. I gave up on that, just got really hungry, and the night before, they'd brought out a burger that was really big, came with fries, and I just thought, you know what, I'd just go that burger. It did look quite epic, and it tasted really epic as well. It was a great burger. Nothing super special about it, it's just one of those super tall burgers, but yummy, and I was just getting hungry and tired and weary of all my walking trying to find a decent French restaurant to be able to eat at. Now, the interesting thing about Leeds N is 2 things. 1, no website. 2, no Facebook page. Well, there's a Facebook page, but it's actually the one that Facebook created for them, which means that they've actually got no control over it. Now, the interesting thing that I thought about it was, on the second night, I got chatting to the people next to us because they were from Australia, so we were having a bit of a chit-chat about everything that was going on. But most of the people were locals there. And I thought that was really interesting because they are quite close to some significant hotels, and yet I think people just don't know about them because it comes up on Google Places, but there's not a lot of information, and it drives them to a Facebook page that has been automatically created by Facebook. For them, I think they're missing out on, I would have thought, hundreds of bookings over 100 bookings a month in a tourist area where there's people who are looking for places to go. It would be really quite simple. I think they've got a good product. It's quite interesting, eminently defensible up against the competition that they've got around them. They just need to do a good job of telling people that they're there and de-risking the transaction, making it easy for people to go there. For them, they're leaving a lot of revenue on the table. And as we come into the coronavirus, you don't want to be leaving any money on the table because I don't think anyone can afford to. So make sure that your Google My Business account is set up. Make sure that it points to your website, not one of the other brandjacking type websites. What is it that you want to have on your website? So the biggest thing that we see, the number one mistake that people are making with their websites is they're not looking at the niches that they could be targeting. So we've talked about this a few times. Start thinking about it, start doing it, start executing it. I think that this is the big opportunity for you. You need to be thinking about things like gluten-free. So what is your gluten-free offering? What is it that someone with celiac disease would get when they come into your restaurant? Now, if your business plan says that you are happy to take people with celiac disease, that you've got a great gluten-free menu, that you've got a great story, and that story is generally, my sister's had celiac disease for the past 15 years, and when we've gone out as a family to a restaurant, I've seen the disappointment on her face when she's had to order something that was inferior to what everyone else ordered because they didn't have a strong gluten-free menu. And I decided that when I opened my restaurant, I never wanted anyone to have that look on their face. I wanted everyone with celiac disease, because every member of the family is important. I wanted those people to be able to have a meal that they enjoyed that was just as yummy as the other food that we cook up for everyone else. We take our gluten-free cooking really seriously. That's why I've got a separate part of the kitchen especially designated for it. We cook our own bread. We're using a gluten-free flour that we source from this guy just up the road who sells gluten-free. We've been doing it for 10 years because, and I've always been amazed at the long-term relationships we've had with so many customers who really enjoy our gluten-free offering. You know what? That is a templated. Now, obviously, if you're going to say that has to be what it is, you have to be legit when you're saying these sort of things because these sort of things get caught out. But that's a pretty good story. If you had that story, and I speak to restaurants all the time who have that kind of story or better in the gluten-free niche or other niches, and they just don't bother telling them. So you have that little story, you have a picture of where you're preparing the food, and you also have 2 or 3 hero pictures of your gluten-free food, so that the gluten-free person can go, they have a look at it, and they go, oh yeah, that looks yummy. I would go that. They've already made their decision about what it is that they're going to have. You can up it with, getting in some gluten-free beers. That's a thing. Have a think about that. Now, that is our go-to-market strategy. When people are looking for a gluten-free restaurant in their area, your restaurant hopefully will then start ranking for that, and then people will come in because they're looking for a gluten-free restaurant. However, we're talking about quick, we're talking about dirty, so you need to take this one step further. The big question that we get from people is, okay, what are we going to do about photos? Let's get a professional photographer in. Let's schedule it in, 3 weeks' time. Quick, dirty, use your phone, okay? Is it going to be the best photo in the world? Probably not. Is it going to be something that people are going to look at? They're going to be able to relate to it. It's not going to look like a stock photo. There might even be a picture of you. Imagine that there's a picture of you holding the dish and you're proud because of, what does that dish mean? Remember, restaurant, restore the soul. That's the original meaning of the word. And it's not a gluten-free dish. This is a dish that people are able to share. People with celiac disease are able to share with their family. And you're proud of the way that it tastes because it means that they're not settling for something that's second best. You've put all of your expertise, all of your team's hard work into coming up with the recipe, coming up with the presentation, then shipping it out to the customer at their table, perfect. Let's see a little bit of your pride, that your gorgeous smile, whatever it is that you've got. I don't know, maybe you shouldn't be in the photo. But if you should be in the photo because that's authentic and customers can relate to that authenticity. So use your mobile phone. Then, and once again, that's not going to go drawing masses in. The next step, we can target people who are looking for gluten-free food in your area. So run a Facebook ad. hey, looking for a great gluten-free restaurant? Check out this. We've got this, this, and this. Our most popular gluten-free dish is this. We take our commitment to people with celiac disease really important. That's why we've got a separate part of the kitchen. And so, 2 food photos and a separate area of the gluten-free kitchen, and maybe a picture of you. We use specialized flour, and there's a picture of the flour on the, out on bench being kneaded, and it says gluten-free there. That just is going to resonate with those people, and you're going to be able to get people in. What kind of budget? I'd start with $3. That's my default setting. See how it goes. See if it can get more people in. This is the kind of quick and dirty marketing that you can do. We're talking about spending $3. If you can't afford $3, sad times. But if you can't afford $3, then maybe the SEO is going to be able to help you to get it out, to be able to get the revenue up and get the word out. So that is one niche. You will not save your restaurant with one niche, I don't think, but there's plenty of other niches out there. There's vegan, there's vegetarian, there's flexitarian, there's people who like meat, people who like salad, people who like fish, people who like chili challenges, people who speak a language that is based around your cuisine. There are people who like events, there are people who like drinks, there are people who like all sorts of things. Next thing you can do is start looking at the calendar of events. What are the events that are coming up? Is it International Beer Day? Can you get some special beers in? Is it International Chocolate Day? Do you want to get some chocolates in? We talked a little while ago about Easter. Have a listen to that one, and then take the Easter marketing blueprint and run that around any of the events that you've got coming up. A little bit of extra work, but these are dark, dark times, I truly believe. And, and I see that because more than ever, I know restaurant owners don't like talking about marketing. I think deep down, everyone hopes that their food's just so amazing that everyone's going to go in there, go, oh my God, this is the best food ever. Tweet it, LinkedIn it, Instagram it, Snapchat it, all of those sort of things, and just make it their mission to drive customers into your restaurant. We all know that very, very, very rarely happens. And so it's just that grind to get people to be coming in. Couple of other things, look at your email database. If you're using external booking system, then they should be able to give you the email addresses. Send an email out to them, tell them what you've got going on. Even make a plea, hey, we're doing it tough. We'd really appreciate it if you could come in this week. Is there going to be a special? You might need to discount. You know what I think? And don't go, oh, discounting. I think, having talked to the restaurant owners this week, you need to get on it. We need to be thinking about discounting. It's not about running a profitable restaurant. It's about enduring the 8 weeks that you need to be able to keep the doors open, and then you can build. I think that those that survive, it's going to be happy times, because we know that restaurants are already closing. In 8 weeks' time, a lot more restaurants will have closed. That means that there's going to be people will slowly come out of hibernation. They're slowly going to want to go out to a restaurant. They're going to slowly want to start celebrating the fact that they have survived the coronavirus. And for you, if you've been able to keep the doors open, it will be happier times, because there'll be people going out and there are less restaurants for them to go into, less competition. And I think, deep down, that's probably a good thing, because not everyone who is running a restaurant should be running a restaurant. As a marketing company, we see that fairly often. So send an email out to your database. The other thing is execute quickly on this. I think changes from Google, they can take 2 to 4 weeks to take effect. So you don't want to be relying just on that. I would be running some Facebook marketing. I would definitely be working on your walk-in traffic if you can, if you've got that kind of foot traffic going by the restaurant. Have a think about the things that you can do and execute on them. Execute them with maximum violence. We see it all the time with restaurant owners who struggle to get a website live. They want to change the design. They want to change it again. They're just waiting for the perfect wording about one page. And then they're waiting for the next photographer to come in or the next menu update. And we've seen it where a restaurant website can take 10, 12, 18 months to do, which I think is absolute madness, because we can do them in 2 weeks. And the scary thing is, if you look at the amount of traffic that a restaurant website generates, the amount of economic value, the amount of customers who never heard about the restaurant but were looking for somewhere to eat and find it, it can be tens of thousands, in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars of missed revenue. So execute on that. Now, your gluten-free page, and this is the thing, you might do that gluten-free page. That might be your project for today. Take a couple of photos, write some text, put an ad up on Facebook, run that. It's pretty easy to do. So there's plenty of things there that you can be thinking about. I know that these are dark times. So what we're doing is we're doing a special. If you've got a WordPress website and you need some help targeting the niches, what we'll do is we will create, you send us the photos, we'll have a quick chat with you about the niches that you want to target, and we will do 3 pages targeting those niches, get all of the SEO done for you, and we'll also set up the campaigns for you. We're doing that for $9.95. That's fairly heavily discounted on what we would normally do. Doesn't include the budget for the Facebook ads, but hey, as I said, you're looking at $3 a day. If you've got 3 niches that you want to target, that's not too much. So this is our response to be able to help restaurant owners really survive the 8 weeks from when, you go into that crisis panic lockdown to come out the other side where there's rainbows, unicorns, and pots of gold. That's what we're focusing on doing, getting as many people to make that transition with as little stress as possible. I know I find it quite sad and stressful when you're talking to people and, some people come to us and it's too late. And it's just like, I don't think I can help you. You need to start talking about how you're going to manage your exit from the restaurant, because they literally are down to their last $20 and rent's due in 3 weeks and it's $8,000. And it's like, I don't think you're not going to be able to bring that kind of money in. This is going to be really tough times, which is why, hey, go back to it, rent holiday. It's a big thing, and lots of restaurants are having those discussions now. That's going to help you position yourself to be able to move forward once we get past the crisis. That's about it. So yes, definitely hit up the team if you're interested in our coronavirus emergency package. Got to be on WordPress. We don't have time to faff around with all of the other packages, and those packages are really tough. It's hard to get great results. The critical thing with this is we're bundling it so that you've got 3 niches and 3 ads to run with those niches. And I think that's going to be the thing that's going to help you to be able to get enough revenue to be able to survive the time that you need. Apart from that, have a glorious week. Well, as glorious as possible. Sneeze into your elbow. I mean, you guys already know all of this. Wash your hands. Get your customers to do that so your team doesn't get infected. Be kind to everyone. Everyone else is stressed. It's one of those times. Yeah, we'll see you on the other side. Have a glorious day. Bye.
Want more customers for your restaurant, cafe or takeout? Every month, our marketing tools and information are used by thousands of restaurant owners just like you to help them find more customers and turn them into repeat customers. All of our tools and information is designed specifically for restaurant owners. We know you don't have a lot of time to spend marketing or learning complicated procedures, so our tools are quick and easy to use. If you're looking to increase your revenue and profits or want to work less hours, check out marketingforrestaurants.com.